So, if you're a professional, you know the pressure, right? You've got to be active on LinkedIn. You have to share insights, stay relevant. But honestly, who has the time? It feels like a second job. Well, what if you could build a personal content robot to do it all for you? Let's dive in and see how we can build one right now. Does this feel a little too familiar? You know you should be posting, but just the thought of coming up with another idea, it's exhausting. You are definitely not alone. It's one of the biggest headaches for busy professionals today. Okay, so before we build our solution, let's really get to the heart of the problem. We're going to break down the exact pain points that make managing a professional presence feel like such a total grind. You know, it's a bit of a vicious cycle. It all starts with that classic writer's block, just staring at a blank screen. Then, when you finally get an idea, actually creating the post takes up time you just don't have. This, of course, leads to a totally inconsistent schedule, which kind of defeats the whole purpose, all while that pressure to find new, relevant topics just never, ever stops. But what if you could just break that cycle? Seriously, imagine having a personal assistant, a digital version of you that could handle all the heavy lifting of content creation. It would keep your profile active and engaging, even while you sleep. Well, that is exactly what we're going to map out. We're not just setting up some simple automation here. We are, for all intents and purposes, building a personal content robot. And don't worry, it is way simpler than it sounds. The first piece of lingo we need is the word node. I know, it sounds technical, but it's actually incredibly simple. A node is just one single command you give to your robot, like write a post, that's a node, or publish the post, that's another node. Every single action is its own node. So when we string these nodes together, we get a workflow. It all starts with a trigger. That's basically the go button. The main action is the AI generating a post. And you guessed it, the final step is to publish it to your profile. Trigger, action, publish. It really is that straightforward. All right, let's start building. The very first thing our robot needs is a way to speak to the world. And in our case, that means connecting it directly to your LinkedIn account. The process here is super simple. The goal is to let our automation tool post for us, right? So the key is to create what's called a credential. Just think of it like a secure, one-time login that gives permission for the two systems to talk to each other safely. Okay, the connection is made. Our robot has a voice. But it doesn't have anything to say yet. For that, we need to give it a brain. And that brain is a powerful AI model like Google Gemini. And just like we connected to LinkedIn, we need to connect our tool to the AI. We do this with something called an API key. Honestly, the best way to think of it is just as a secret password that only your two applications know. It lets them talk to each other securely without you having to log in every single time. Now, this is the most crucial part of the whole thing. The AI is incredibly powerful, but it is not a mind reader. The quality of the content it creates depends entirely, and I mean entirely, on the quality of the instructions you give it. This whole process of giving instructions, that's called prompting. And this is where the real magic happens. The first and most important instruction you give it isn't about the post itself. It's about the AI's identity. You assign it a role. You literally tell it, you are a LinkedIn strategist. By giving it this context right from the start, you instantly level up the quality of everything it generates. So after giving the robot its job title, you give it the rules. This is your personal style guide. It's what separates that generic AI content from posts that actually work. You're basically programming your own voice into it by telling it exactly how to write. Start every single post with a strong hook to stop the scroll. Use short sentences, lots of white space. Make it easy to read. And most importantly, you command it to provide real, practical value and to stay away from that generic, robotic-sounding language that we all hate. So what does it write about? Well, to make sure there's variety and it's always on brand, you feed it a list of your core topics. You know, the things you actually want to be known for, like artificial intelligence or productivity or personal branding. The robot will then randomly pick one of these topics for each new post, which makes sure your feed never gets boring or stale. Okay, all the pieces are in place. The body is connected to the voice, and the AI brain has its instructions. Now, it's time to turn the key and let our content robot get to work. And just like that, with one click, the whole workflow begins. The trigger has been pulled. The AI gets its command, it chooses a topic, and it starts writing based on your exact rules. A few moments later, boom, success. A brand new, totally unique, and perfectly formatted post appears right on your LinkedIn profile. It's got that strong hook, it gives real value, and it sounds like you. And it was all created with a single click. Now, this is amazing for text posts, but this is really just the beginning. The real power of building a system like this is realizing that you've just learned a skill that can automate so much more. I mean, think about it. What else could this robot do for you? Imagine it generating custom images to go with your posts. Or what if it connected to news sites to comment on current events? You could even adapt this same logic for Instagram, or have it automatically summarize interesting articles to share with your network. The possibilities here are pretty much endless. So, this all brings us to the final question. Now that you get the concept, you're not just automating a task, you're building a digital assistant. So, what's the first repetitive, time-sucking digital chore you're going to give your new robot to do?